It's game three of the World Series, and the action turns to Atlanta with the series all tied up at one game apiece. In this game three preview episode, we'll break down the pitching matchups between Ian Anderson and Luis Garcia, give you the keys to victory for Atlanta, and a prediction. Now, let's get into it.
Hey, this is Stacey Gotsoulias,
DC Lundberg,
Ryan Finkelstein,
Taylor Blake Ward,
host of Locked On Yankees,
Locked On Mariners,
Locked On Mets,
Locked On Angels,
and you're listening to Locked On Braves.
Locked On Braves,
Locked On Braves,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your favorite teams every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the game of baseball, including the Atlanta Braves over at TomahawkTake.com, part of the Fansided Network. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. We just started that up for the World Series. We'll obviously be taking that into the offseason as well. So make sure that you are subscribed, ready for all the new content, video content that we'll be putting up through the World Series and through the offseason. And as always, thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day. We post episodes daily, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and we are free and available on all platforms. And we already posted one episode today on Friday, did another crossover episode with the guys from Locked On Astros. If you're not giving them a listen, make sure to do so as well. Do a great job covering the Astros over there, and it's always great to get the other team's perspective of how the series is going. It's very interesting listening to Braves fans and what they're feeling, and then going over there to Locked On Astros and seeing what the other side is feeling. So very interesting. So make sure that you give them a follow. Go listen to them as well. But did have another crossover episode with them that we posted Friday morning. So if you haven't already, make sure that you give that a listen. We not only talk about game three, but we talk about all three games coming up in Atlanta and how we see those games playing out. So a lot of good stuff there. But on this episode, we are going to be primarily previewing game three of the World Series, which will be tonight, starting at 8:08 p.m. Eastern on Fox. So it'll be another late night here. But weather will be a little dicey in this one. That's probably the main thing to watch leading up to game time is what will the weather look like. Right now it's lows, looking like lows in the 50s with chances of rain throughout the game. So not great conditions in this one, but hopefully they'll at least be able to get the game in. If not, I've already seen people asking, they would simply just push it back a day and use the travel day on Monday for game 5. So hopefully there's not a rain out. Hopefully they're able to get this game in. I got some friends going. I unfortunately was unable to get tickets and not able to afford them once they hit the secondary market, but I know a lot of people are pumped up for this game on Friday night. So hopefully they do get to play this one, and hopefully all those fans can enjoy that moment. But let's get into the pitching matchup. Whether it happens on Friday or Saturday, I think the pitching matchups will remain the same. The Braves will send out Ian Anderson on the mound. And if you're not familiar with Ian Anderson, fastball, throws his fastball 47% of the time, his changeup 31% of the time, and a curveball 21% of the time. So pretty much a three-pitch pitcher. The Braves are 3-0 at his starts this postseason, although he hasn't lasted longer than 5 innings in any of those starts. Although that comes with a bit of a caveat, and I mentioned this in the podcast we posted with the guys from Locked On Astros. In his last outing against the Dodgers, he was actually very good in that outing. Only went 4 innings, but that's because Snitker saw an opportunity to go for some runs, and it worked out. I didn't necessarily agree with the decision, but pinch hit for Ian Anderson there, and it worked out, and it turned out to be an Eddie Rosario 3-run homer, which won them game 6. So great call there from Snitker, but you look at it and think, he only lasted 4 innings. He could have gone longer in that game and was pitching well enough to continue pitching, but credit to Snitker, went for it there and turned out to be the difference in the game. But again, he hasn't thrown a lot of pitches in his last 2 outings, so it hasn't gone very deep. You can look at that one of two ways. Either you can be pessimistic and think, he's not really geared up to go long, or you can be optimistic and think he should be fresh and ready to go deep into this game, which the Rays will definitely be looking for him to do. On the positive, in those 3 postseason outings this year, he hasn't allowed more than 3 hits in any of his 3 starts. So that's obviously very good. Overall, this postseason, he's allowed just 3 earned runs on 9 hits and 4 walks over 12 innings with 12 strikeouts. So very good work. And even going back to last year, young Ian Anderson had a very good start to his postseason career. Has done very well in the postseason so far for the Braves for such a young pitcher, just 23 years old. And looking back, just going to his postseason last year, very good as well. Gave up just 2 earned runs in 18 and 2/3 innings on 11 hits. Did have 10 walks. The walks are an issue. 5 of those came in one postseason game last year against the Dodgers and struck out 24 batters. So young career for Ian Anderson, but already one very noteworthy with what he's done in the postseason. So the Braves will be looking for him to have a big start here. Astros hitters don't have a ton of experience against him, which usually favors the pitcher. We saw what happened with the Braves in game 2. Didn't have a lot of experience against Jose Urquidy and just never really could figure him out. Hopefully we see that same thing with Ian Anderson in game 3. And as I touched on just a moment ago, it's really key for Ian Anderson to give the Braves length in this game. You got 2 bullpen games coming up now with Charlie Morton going down. So you really need Ian Anderson to give the Braves some innings here, try to save that bullpen, which is going to be leaned on a lot in the next couple of games. And then the big thing for Ian, the big keys for Ian are, get ahead with the fastball, which makes his plus changeup, which is one of the best changeups in all of baseball, makes that an effective pitch down in the zone. These Astros hitters don't chase a ton. So if you're not getting ahead in the count and you're trying to get them to chase that changeup down the zone, it's probably not going to happen. But if you can establish that fastball up in the zone, keep it in on righties, then that changeup will become much more effective. And I think he'll have a lot of success in this game. It's really going to be similar to what Jose Urquidy did to the Braves in game 2, as he was able to get ahead in the count with that fastball and then just kept the Braves hitters off balance with that good changeup that Urquidy has. I think Ian Anderson's fastball and changeup are both better than Urquidy, but that Astros lineup is also very good. So we'll see how much success Ian's able to have with that, but that's always the key for him. Establish that fastball up so that it really makes that changeup even more effective. And again, the other big key for Ian is you can't walk batters. Again, I mentioned that in the postseason last year, the one kind of rough outing that he had, he walked 5 batters. He's got to limit that. Again, the Astros don't chase a ton, so you're going to have to get ahead in the count. Can't give up any free bases against these guys. You go back to, again, Ian's worst start this postseason. He walked 3 batters in his first outing against the Dodgers. So got to keep those walks down. Can't be giving this lineup any free passes, or they will do a lot of damage because they particularly put the ball in play, as we saw in game 2. So got to limit the walks, get ahead in the count, and try to put them away with that changeup or get them on top of that changeup down in the zone. That will be the key for Ian Anderson. And then looking at the Astros, they have Luis Garcia on the mound, very good young pitcher for them. He's very young as well, just 24 years old, was maybe one of their better pitchers all year in the regular season, but had a shaky start to the postseason, gave up 10 runs in his first 2 postseason starts over just 3 2/3 innings. One of those against the White Sox, one of those against the Red Sox, but was great in his last start in the ALCS, which was the clincher for them against the Red Sox. 5 2/3 shutout innings, allowing just 1 hit and a walk with 7 strikeouts, and that's just through 76 pitches. So he should be well rested as well. So very good in his last outing. Don't know which Luis Garcia will get here, but again, coming off a very good outing, so you got to figure he's got some sort of confidence. Again, like with Urquidy, the Braves hitters don't have a lot of experience against Luis Garcia. So again, got to figure that favors the pitcher a little bit here and just not having a ton of experience against him. And then, you look at his pitch mix. He throws his fastball 45% of the time, his cutter 23%, slider 12%, changeup 11%, and curveball 9%. So throws 5 pitches and uses them all a fairly decent amount. So I think the key for the Braves hitters is going to be to hunt for that fastball. and get a good one to hit. Batters are hitting 301 against his fastball this season, but they've been terrible against his off-speed pitches. He has a 40% whiff rate with the cutter, slider, and pretty much the changeup, 39% for the changeup. So those are going to be the pitches that are going to give the Braves righties, particularly Dansby and Austin, who struggle with those pitches, running away from them. That's going to be a struggle for them in this game. So Braves hitters will have to hunt the fastball and make sure that they get it, make sure that they don't miss. That's what the problem against Urquidy is. When Urquidy got him a fastball that he left over the zone, they were looking for that changeup and vice versa. Again, Urquidy just did a good job keeping them off balance, but that fastball is hittable from Garcia, and if the Braves can get it, they can do some damage with it. There's a good disparity between his fastball and cutter, which makes his cutter so effective. He throws his fastball at about 93 miles per hour and throws the cutter at 86 miles per hour. That's a really good speed differential between your fastball and cutter, and that's why that cutter is so effective and why he has such a high whiff rate with that. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well. How does he mix in that cutter? Are the Braves hitters able to sit back on it and make the adjustment? Are they able to read fastball cutter coming out of his hands? That's going to be a big thing for the Braves hitters in this game. All right, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back, look at the keys to victory for the Braves in this one, and give you my prediction. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors that there's something for everyone? If you haven't explored all the different flavors at Built Bar, you are truly missing out. From coconut to mint brownie, salted caramel, German chocolate, and my favorite, cookies and cream. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you'll get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too, ranging from 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team, which is pretty cool. Go to BuiltBar.com and use promo code LOCKEDON15 and you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off at Built.com. This episode is also brought to you by BetOnline.ag. BetOnline is back and better than ever with a new web interface for the start of the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use our promo code LOCKEDON. From basketball, football, baseball in the postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for you in 2021. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so getting into the keys to victory for the Braves in this one, it's really the same thing that it's been all series. Try to get an early lead against the Astros starters. Again, that was supposed to be the biggest strength for the Braves coming into this series, was the Braves starting pitching against the Astros starting pitchers. But Luis Garcia has actually been really good for them this year. I know he had the rough starts in the postseason, but still the Braves hitters need to try to get to him early, get an early lead, and kind of just take over. I mean, we've seen it in the first 2 games. Both offenses, Braves in game 1, the Astros in game 2, they've had a big inning early, kind of just taken all momentum in the game and then not relinquished it. I think you're going to see that happen a lot in that series. So I think it's key for the Braves to get an early run or 2, kind of settle things down, get that home crowd behind them, which is going to be really loud, feed off the energy of that crowd and let that build throughout the game and carry them into the late innings with a nice lead, because this Astros team will continue to come. That offense will continue to come. As good as the Braves bullpen has been in the back end, you still need to go into those final 3 to 4 innings with a 2 to 3 run lead to feel pretty comfortable. I think the biggest key in this game is going to be Ian Anderson. I think he has to give the Braves 5 innings of 2 earned or less. I think that's the minimal that Ian Anderson needs to do in this game, not just to give them a chance to win this game, but to give them a chance to win the next 2 games as well. You can't have him going out after 3 innings and taxing the bullpen in game 3 and then having back-to-back bullpen games after that. You're essentially throwing 3 bullpen games in a row if that's the case. So give Ian Anderson has to go 5 innings, keep them in the game. Like I said, 2 earned or less, And then you have a fresh Minter, Jackson, Matzik, and Smith for those final 4 innings if you need them, if the Braves are up. And then just coming off of game 2, the defense has to be a lot more clean. Maybe the infield in Houston was causing some fits for the Braves there. I know John Smoltz was talking about how fast the infield is in Houston there. So hopefully being back home where they're comfortable and used to the reads on the infield dirt, hopefully that will be much better. But I mean, a lot of it was just mental mistakes that you saw in game 2. So I don't know if the moment was getting to them a little bit or what, but hopefully we'll see a much more focused Braves defense. Again, been one of the best defenses, especially on the infield in all of baseball this year. So that was very uncharacteristic of them in game 2. Would like to see them be much sharper in game 3 here and pick up Ian Anderson and make the plays behind him. And then pick your spot for Jocktober. I'm assuming Jock Peterson won't be starting game 3. Don't have the lineup right now as I'm recording this, but I'm assuming Soler gets a start and Jock will be on the bench, which I think is the right move. We'll see if Snitker agrees. I think Jorge Soler has had some of the better at bats for the Braves in this World Series so far, and Jock Peterson has cooled off significantly since the big hits he had early in the postseason. So I would like to see Jock back on the bench. That way you can deploy him, in a big spot when you need him late in the game where I think he can be most effective. So Ian goes deep in this game, get an early lead, turn it over to the bullpen with a 2 or 3 run lead, and maybe get an add-on run late with Jock coming off the bench. So for my prediction, and before I give you my prediction, to me, this is the most important game in this series for the Braves. With back-to-back bullpen games coming up, you have to find a way to win this one, especially if you hope to take 2 of 3 in Atlanta. Because for me, when I look at the 2 bullpen games coming up, the Braves have to decide which one of those games they want to go after. Which one of those games do they want to deploy, Minter, Matzik, early on to try to keep the game close or hold on to a lead and really go for the win, because you can't do that in back-to-back games, in my opinion, unless you just get, a surprisingly great start from Tucker Davidson or Kyle Wright, which I don't think you can count on. I think you're going to have to use your best bullpen guys to try to get through either game 4 or game 5. So that to me makes game 3 very important for the Braves. I think this is somewhat of a must win for them. But I think they get it. I do think Ian gives them 5 innings and keeps it close. However, I think Luis Garcia is good as well. And I think he probably goes at least 5 innings. And I think we have a tight ball game for once, which we haven't seen in the first 2 games. I think this could be the closest game that we see in this series, because I think both starting pitchers will do pretty well in going 5 innings and keeping it around 2 or 3 runs each. So I think this one will come down to the bullpens, and both bullpens are very good. But I'm going to go with the team that has the last at bat. We saw it in the first 2 games with the Dodgers in that series, how important it is having that last at bat. Braves will have the home crowd behind them. So I'm going to go with the Braves in this one. I think the Braves win it 5-4 and take a 2-1 series lead in the World Series. Get a big hit late from, we'll say, Austin Riley. How about that? We'll go with Austin Riley late, getting the big hit in this one and giving the Braves a 5-4 win. That will do it for this episode's Game 3 preview episode of the Locked On Braves podcast. We'll be back after Game 3 with a full breakdown, everything happening in Game 3. So make sure that you are subscribed to the Locked On Braves podcast. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube as well at Locked On Braves. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves and follow me at ShortstopBall. And again, we'll talk to you after the game with a full breakdown from Game 3, and we will talk to you then.